Yo, what's happening, everybody? It's Flo again. Just hitting y'all with another video. This time it isn't a game review. I'm hitting y'all up with some UFC stuff. I know a lot of people don't really talk about the old UFC or anything like that. Like before all the unified rules came in, all the tournaments and all that happened back then, and before you had to wear gloves. Gloves were optional, but you didn't have to back then. There wasn't many rules. A lot of things were frowned upon, such as eye gouging, groin shots, things like that. It was frowned upon, but it wasn't illegal. So I'm just going to give you all a recap of some of the winners and who they beat back in the day. Like, the first two UFCs were won by Royce Gracie. I mean, that's a no-duh. Everybody knows that. But did they know who he beat? In the first one, he beat Gerard Gordeau via rear naked choke. And in the second one, he beat Patrick Smith due to submission of punches. After that, in the third UFC, Royce had a chance to come back and try to win another tournament, but had to drop out due to fatigue. So instead, Steve Jenham ended up winning that one. And then, as we head to the fourth tournament, once again, Royce Gracie was back again and took it and beat Dan Severn via triangle choke. But heading on to the next one, Gracie wasn't in it. Dan Severn came back and beat Dan Benetal via key lock. So there you have it. Dan Severn coming back, winning the fifth UFC tournament. Then we go on to UFC 6. Oleg Takatarov beat Tank Abbott via rear naked choke. But we all know Tank Abbott's a brawler. So, I mean, it's not much surprise that he got submitted or anything. I mean, that's what generally happens to him. In the seventh UFC, Marco Ruas beat Paul Varelans via TKO. And then we come to the ultimate 1995 tournament, which still there were no weight classes, where Dan Severn came in there and beat Oleg Takatarov to be the first person to ever win via unanimous decision. Which, I mean, that was a big thing. I mean, being the first ever to win by unanimous decision, that's saying something. And then after that, the amazing Don Fry came in and beat Gary Goodridge by submission of punches. I mean, just really flat out, just ran him over. And in UFC number 9, there were no tournaments. There wasn't a tournament at all. But there was a super fight that needed to be stated for a championship, and that was between Ken Shamrock and Dan Severn, which Ken Shamrock ended up losing, and Dan Severn won that one by decision, becoming a champion. And then UFC 10 and UFC number 11 were both won by Mark the Hammer Coleman. In UFC 10, he beat Don Fry via TKO by punches. And then the 11th one, which was kind of funny, he won by default because Scott Ferranzo couldn't continue due to exhaustion. So he didn't fight anybody. It was a forfeit, and he won the championship like that. Then there was the ultimate 1996, which is where Don Fry beat Tank Abbott by a rear naked choke. Once again, Tank Abbott going down by submission. But other than that, Tank Abbott, a really amazing fighter, knocked out a lot of people. It's just he just wasn't that experienced on the ground. He's more of a brawler type guy, fought in bars, stuff like that. And then you have UFC number 12, which is where the first time the weight classes were actually influenced and used. And it started out with the heavyweights, that it was 200 pounds and up, and the lightweights that were 199 pounds and down. So there wasn't a whole lot of difference. I mean, there's a whole lot difference than there is now, but there's not a big difference between the weight classes. It's just, man, if you're under 200, you're going lightweight. If you're above, you're heavyweight. It's not like today, like you have to be 170 pounds for this weight class. You have to be 185 pounds for middleweight. You have to be 155 pounds for lightweight, and all that other stuff. But getting on with it, in the lightweight tournament, Jerry Bolander beat Nick Sanzu via crucifix to become the first lightweight winner in a tournament. And then the heavyweight, Vitor Belfort beat Scott Ferrozzo via TKO punches. And we all know that Vitor Belfort, amazing with the punches, just such quick hands. I mean, phenomenal fighter. And then there were two four-man tournaments, and there was a lightweight and a heavyweight tournament again at UFC 13, which in the lightweight tournament, Guy Metzger beat Tito Ortiz via guillotine. And then the heavyweight tournament, Randy, the Natural Couture, beat Stephen Graham by TKO of punches. So I'm just giving y'all a little history lesson, letting y'all know who won the tournaments and who they beat. So I'll have some more vids like this, just stating some stuff like this, just letting y'all know what's up, like about what happened in the past, what brought the UFC to where they are now. And I'll give a history lesson, I guess, sometime about when the rules came in, why the rules were put in, and just all the different places the UFC's bought and things like that. But so this has been up to UFC 13. I'll hit you up with another video with more than 14 and up and a little bit more like that. So hope y'all have a great day. Hope y'all enjoyed this. Hope y'all got something out of this info. So that's it. I'm Flo, and I'm out, dude.